I had one of the best movie going experience that I've had in such a long time. So I teased this. I teased it on our text thread, our private text thread, and then I modified that text to a tease on onto Reddit. Earlier this summer, I had tweeted out a trailer to a movie called MANDY. MANDY. And all I saw, and the reason I tweeted it out was this is the movie that's going to revive Nicolas Cage's career. That's what everybody like. That was the only blurb that came with this trailer. And then you watch the trailer and it's fucking mind melting. Like you don't get it. Well, unbeknownst to me, there was a limited screening last Thursday. I just happened to I saw it blurb across the algorithm. That's just what I'm going to refer to as that creepy internet thing that kind of picks up what you do and feeds shit to you. So the algorithm had was all of a sudden all my ads, the limited amount of ads that still pop up to me, they were all like opening this week, Mandy, opening this week, Mandy, and so then I got on and saw it wasn't playing at any of my normal theaters that I go to, but I did find it at a Regal. There was one showtime on Thursday listed. And and it was kind of a fluke. And I'm so glad that I did it. I almost didn't do it. But I was like, I just told Ash, I was like, I got to go see this movie. The trailer, it was that intriguing to me. And I went and saw this movie and it was so amazing. And I came home and I told Ash, I was like, this movie is so good, but I can't think of one person that I could recommend it to. Like, it's just like every person that I would think like, oh, I could tell them about it. Then I'm like, oh no, but there's that one thing in there that if they saw that, like they would not like it. and like every person I was like, oh, if I could just maybe no, there's that one thing. So now in a week, I've racked my brain and I've only come up with two people that I have thought I could recommend this movie to. One of them was my nephew, who I didn't recommend it because he doesn't go see movies. And the other one was Dr. Pumps Russell. And I hope he didn't, if he ever watches that movie and he ever hears me saying this, I hope he doesn't get offended by that. But I sent him the trailer and was just like, if this is playing anywhere near you, you should see it because I think you would like it. And I'm sure that you would like it. I'm sure, if Twinkie saw it, he would like it. There's just, it's directed by the same guy that directed on episode 7. We talked about a little movie called Beyond the Black Rainbow. And this guy's name is
Panos
Cosmatos, right?
Yeah.
And Beyond the Black Rainbow is and Dave, you watched that one. It's kind of a hard sell. Well,
it's a great sell. It's a little bit more of a difficult movie to watch or to appreciate fully. But I did like it. I'm really glad. That was the movie that you sold to me as the movie that this guy made based on having seen the cover art for video boxes, what he thought they might be about.
Yeah, because he was very restricted in what he was allowed to watch.
Yeah.
But he went to the video store, and so and movie boxes are something that we've talked about over and over again on our podcast, and that was the entrance point to that movie, was because that's what he talked about. He's like, I always wanted to make the movie that I thought was behind those boxes, and I'm totally paraphrasing that. And Mandy is his follow-up to that, and I found out because at the end of that, they tagged on, I don't think it was live, but they tagged on a 30-minute Q&A with Panos, Nick Cage, Linus Roche, hosted by Kevin fucking Smith.
What?
So after I got to see this amazing movie, I got to sit through this 33-minute Q&A where Kevin Smith is just like drilling them with questions and them talking about the movie. And
I bet there was a 30-minute intro from Kevin Smith prior to that Q&A.
Actually, it's not. So that's what I have queued up.
Great. Yeah, because I want to watch the trailer. I remember you sending the trailer quite a while back, and I was like, this is a fucking long walk short drink movie if ever there was one.
Yeah.
Because at that time, I don't think you had realized that it was the follow-up director for Beyond the Black Rainbow.
I did not. And I think it says it in the trailer, like from the visionary director of Beyond the Black Rainbow. There's like a quick blurb of that, maybe. But what really caught my eye when I first sent out that trailer was just, this is the movie that's going to bring Nick Cage's career back, which, and some would argue, like, bring it back from, like, what do you mean bring it back? He's always been Nick Cage. And honestly
count on him being Nick Cage. He's Nick Cage is fucking this though, it looks like.
Oh man, like I can't remember the last Nick Cage movie that I saw. Like I'm on here right now just trying to look back. As far as like if you were going the Trust, Pay the Ghost, The Runner.
I probably saw Bad Lieutenant 2. I don't remember it really well. And that was probably 5 years ago.
Ghost Rider, maybe. I saw no. Yeah, I think. Oh, I did see Sorcerer's Apprentice. I really like that. Kick-Ass.
Tickle me so much. Oh yeah, what a great use of him in that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, but there's literally like I just scrolled through 30 movies to get back to that I just haven't seen, right, on his IMDb page. And so, man, Ash is making something that smells fantastic. Let me bring the trailer up. We'll watch the trailer first.
Now this is exciting.
Wrong keyboard. But then I have queued up kind of like it's basically the director's take on what he was trying to make. So from that Q&A. Now the Q&A that I got to see was like it was shot really well, like head on. This is like somebody recording it with their cell phone in the audience of that Q&A, so it's like off to the side. But we'll watch the trailer first. Like smoking, he smokes through the whole thing.
Oh, I've been thinking a lot about Wild at Heart recently, and this is very reminiscent of that so far.
The wretched warlock reached into the dark embrace. His fist closed around the serpent's eye. Strange and eternal.
I need you to get me that girl I saw. You know what to do. You're a special one, Mandy. I, too, am a special one. Let us be.
That shot is probably one of the best shots I've ever seen in a movie.
So what you gonna do with that thing? We're going hunting. So what you hunting?
That's the guy from The Predator, by the way.
You think you're so in love? I'll show you love. Oh man, they wronged you. into cosmic darkness.
It glowed from within, strange and eternal.
And soon. That's how it ends, is soon. That, I'm going to tell you right now, makes me want to watch it. Like I almost need to see it again now. Like it's it's so fucking good. So
and it's available.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so it's so crazy that, I mean, it's not crazy that we're talking about it, but what is crazy is the bride brought it up over the weekend. We were considering watching something together, and she had heard about it from and then she's like, let me look at this. And then she looked into it for like 30 seconds. She was like, no, this is not for me. But I was like,
don't let her watch it. Don't let her watch it. Like, you gotta watch it by yourself.
She will, but I will. I'm a little scared of it, but I'm excited to see it.
Well, maybe this will help sell it more. So let me jump over to this Q&A, and so you can kind of hear.
I'm scared in a good way. Like it looks amazing.
It's so good. So here it's gonna start with Kevin Smith asking a question, and then Panos kind of responds to that. And this is where it really, if everything else like that, we've already done an episode on his other movie. It's got Nick Cage being this like hyper realistic version of Nicolas Cage as a logger from 1983, and
is that what it is? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
He's a logger, and he drives a 78 Bronco and like super fast at all times, and like forges a fucking axe to go hunt these people with. Like, Jesus, it's so awesome. Like, there's so much to it, and it's one of those that like every time you watch it, you're going to see something different, because there's so much crammed into this little. It's not super long. It says it's how long does it say on here? Doesn't IMDb usually have a length on it? Oh, yeah, 2 hour 1 minute. So it's not terribly long in today's standards, like usually movies are going 2.5 hours even. But it's so fucking good. But let's hear right from the director, and then I'll come back and we'll wrap this up, and then we can go on something else.
Feelings that I was dealing with,
When I sit there and watch this flick, number one, I'm ashamed to also call myself a filmmaker, because I'm like, that's fucking filmmaking. Like, as I watched it and as I pulled apart the color palette, everything about it seemed so precise, seemed like such a choice. And I know that it's a job of choices, but I look at your work and I'm like, wow, he made all the right choices. How do you communicate something like this? Like, we got to see it, so we're like, oh, fuck. How do you communicate something like this to people when it doesn't exist?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it's because the way that it's created to begin with is like a very iterative process. It's not just like, I'm like, oh, I want to tell a story about a logger who goes on a killing spree to avenge his loved one. It's like I love.
Wait, is that what that was
about? No. It's like, I love revenge movies. I'm interested by how they make me feel, and so I'm going to start writing a revenge movie, and then I just start building like a catalog of images and songs and thoughts, and it starts to build that way, like this weird iterative kind of like almost more like kind of like mashing a sculpture together from pieces of clay and weird things you find, instead of sort of starting from the thought of, I'm going to tell a story, and then sitting down at the typewriter and writing. It's a very iterative, it's a very visually and sonically based process that sort of evolves over time.
That sounds like art. Let me ask you this, man. When you have a script for Mandy, is it, well, I guess I should ask them more than you, but is it evident on the page like what we saw when you guys both first saw the script, where you're like, oh, I got it down cold? Or did you have to have it explained to you, or like, this is the vision? We'll start with you, Lance.
To be frank, I didn't get it. First time I read it, I was like, I have no frame of reference for this. I don't know what it is.
But you were a Chronicles of Riddick.
True, guilty as charged. Yeah.
That's a great place to end it right there. Because he's bitching about how he didn't get it. And then if you didn't catch the joke, because it's here, they're like laughing over it. But he's like, but you were in Chronicles of Riddick, which if you've seen Chronicles of Riddick, that one is on the first go. It's a little hard to understand what's going on.
I was trying to think what I knew that guy from, and I realized, like, to me, he's Bruce Wayne's dad.
Yeah, I guess he was in this last season of Homeland. If you watch Homeland,
I had, but not that. We stopped watching it, so I hadn't seen him in that.
So he's really big in he's been stealing the show in Homeland, I guess. Let me see what else he's been in, because he is very recognizable. In a way, like I didn't recognize him in the trailer though. There were times when like I'm guessing her name is Mandy, the actress that would have played that, was shown, and then this guy seems to be the villain. Like there was a minute where there was that shot of him straight on. I thought maybe it was her at first. That's what I was saying. That it's one of the best shots I've ever seen in a movie, or one of the best shots I've seen in a movie in a long time. Where that's all during an acid trip. I don't want to spoil too much because I know you'll watch it and really like it. I'm gonna watch it. But like he plays this cult leader of this like acid burnout Christian cult, basically, and he's the leader of them. And that happens during an acid trip with Mandy and him and the other members of this cult. And to visualize that tripping, they fade back and forth between, it's the same shot, her face and his face. Oh, wow. And it slowly, like you're breathing like super slow, it slowly just turns into her, and then slowly starts to like, is that her or is that him? And then it's like, oh, it's him. And then it's like, wait, is it her or is it? It's like you're tripping as an audience member. It's so well done that you question, and it's happening so slowly. And the like, to take the time as a filmmaker to be like, I'm going to put 4 minutes of film, which I know it's not really film probably, but like for 4 minutes of my 2-hour-long movie, I'm going to slowly fade these superimpositions back and forth to the point that as an audience member, the whole time you're like, is that her or him? Oh, it's her. Oh, wait, no. Is it her or him? No, it's him. Wait, is it her or him? Oh, it's her. And that happens like 3 or 4 times before you realize they're fucking with me. Like he is fucking with me. Like it's so well that shot is so well done that it literally made me feel like I had dropped a blotter acid before a tab of blotter acid before I went into the movie. Like it's so, and I've never done acid before, and I mean that's the truth. I've never done acid before, but that's what it felt like. That's what I would imagine it would feel like. So when Kevin Smith is kind of like gushing about how like this is art and that, like I thought I made films until I saw, like I don't know if that was in the part that but he, yeah, he said that toward the beginning. When he first starts that Q&A, he's like, it's so great to like be standing in front of an audience that just watched a movie that they like. He's so that was not part of it. Yeah. But he kind of like Kevin Smith kind of gushes over this, and rightfully so. Like when he says that line, like, I know that filmmaking is a craft of choices, but when I watch this, I feel like you made all the right choices. Oh man, is it Beyond the Black Rainbow is really good for a certain type of person who likes movies, right? And I feel like for a certain type of if you know, like we came into it, we like that that idea about the box art and everything. But it is a very he talks about it in the first time that Panos talks. He wrote both of those movies at the same time. He wrote Beyond the Black Rainbow and Mandy at the same time. And he kind of just volleyed back and forth, I guess, between the two, because he said like, this is like the antidote to Beyond the Black Rainbow, because Beyond the Black Rainbow was so compressive and so isolated. And like, you know, that's all about like confined spaces. She's in a cell. And then you realize like the doctor's kind of in his own cell because he's on this compound all the time. And like, whereas this one is like, open and there's world building and it's a fucking revenge flick that's just like, I mean, it's as good as Old Boy in my opinion. Like it's yeah, which when you know, when you realize that's what it is, it's like, yeah, this is a long short drink movie all the way through. Like I can't say enough good things about it. Like just as much as Kevin Smith was gushing,
so exciting.
I'm gushing. Like it was so good. And then to get like, so it was a special screening. It's not playing in my area anymore. Like it was just that one night, that one showtime that it played in my area. It was full of people that were either there because they knew this director, or they knew that this was a special engagement, or they loved Nicolas Cage. So like they all laughed at the right things, and it was as good as like a midnight screening where it was people there that wanted to be there instead of like, well, we didn't know what to see, so we're here now, you know. Oh, it's just a great movie going experience. And then you got a great movie. And then you got that great, awesome half hour with Kevin Smith asking, which if you didn't notice, Nick Cage is wearing a gold
I noticed.
blazer.
Leather pants.
Shiny, like almost patent leather pants. Like they're so shiny. Giant gold rings on his hand and huge, like takes up 1/3 of his face sunglasses. And he's of course like 100% Nicolas Cage. All of those questions that he answers from Kevin Smith, which is great.
He didn't talk in that clip, but I was hoping that he would.
Yeah.
Because he looked a lot like his Sailor Ripley, like from Wild at Heart, where he's just like, the snakeskin jacket is a symbol of my individuality and my
yes. Like, and he talks about how he got Panos. I will say this piece, like Panos wanted him to play Linus Roche's character, like the leader of the cult.
The villain. I don't know if he's the villain, but he seemed to be. That makes sense too. Yeah.
Yeah. And he somehow convinced Panos, like when he read it, like, no, I need to play the protagonist, which is so good because even Nicolas Cage is like, I'm so glad that I did that because Linus really stole the show. And Kevin Smith says that, like that guy as the villain, he is the villain. Jeremiah Sand, isn't that a great villain name? Like
it's a fantastic villain name. Yeah.
He is fucking amazing. And the last scene, you'll know it's the last scene. That's not a spoiler, but the last scene, yeah, it's so fucking good. Like I don't want to spoil anything for you other than if I already haven't, or if I'm already risking that I have, which I hope I haven't. But like I said in my tweet, there's a 78 Bronco, a dick knife, a tiger, something else, all in the same movie. What do they have in common? And it's fucking Mandy. Like, like, God damn, it's so good.
I love that it is the. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'm almost like second guessing. Like, I can't think of anybody to suggest this to. Just go fucking see it. I'm going to take that back. Like, go see it. Like, now that I watched the trailer again and that little blurb of the Q&A, I'm just like, fuck it. If you get offended, you get offended. Hopefully you, if you're this far.
Oh, that looks like a movie that is, filled with offensive things. I think that's not unintentional.
Man, is it so fucking good. It
looks unhinged. That's what it looks like, to where there's no room for propriety of any kind. It's just like, that's what it seems like anyway. Like he looks like a berserker, like he's covered in blood and like wielding a chainsaw. I don't know. I think offensive is probably an understatement with that movie, but I mean that in to say that I can't wait to see it.
When he is at his rock bottom in the movie, this is no spoiler too. There is a scene that it represents his rock bottom, where he's faced with the choice of, does he go for revenge or does he not? And it's him coming to terms with all of that. And it takes place in a bathroom. And it's like, the movie takes place in 1984, I think. Again, kind of tying into that movie box idea. Yeah. It looks like it was shot in 1984. Like it's got like the texture to it. Like, so it feels a little grainy, like a VHS cassette, almost like Beyond the Black Rainbow did.
Yeah.
But he's in this bathroom that is like pure 1970s, like just oranges and browns, like burnt oranges and browns is like the color palette of this bathroom. And it's just him, a bottle of vodka in his underwear, just like stomping around this little 6 foot by 6 foot bathroom, chugging vodka and pouring it on his wounds and just going, and just like, it's so fucking amazing. Just like in their tighty-whitey underwear, and he's just, it's just so good.
Oh, that's what you want. I mean, I don't necessarily want that for Nick Cage as an experience in life, but that's what I want Nick Cage doing for sure in movies.
Again, this is why Panos is so good. It goes beyond the point of being uncomfortable with that happening. And that's all that happens. And it's so long, like you're forced to look at that for so long that at first it's absurd. And then you're uncomfortable, and then you feel terrible for this man. Like, oh, man, it's just, it's so good. It sounds
like it bridges this very, or I don't know, I'm just drawing conclusions based on what you've shown us and told us. And what he said, I was very fascinated that he said he wanted to make a revenge movie, and he was fascinated by how revenge movies made him feel.
Yeah.
And between the trailer, and like what you're saying, it seems like it's a combination of something that's like cartoonish over the top, but that at times gets down to like the marrow of the reality of the situation as well. Like the violence of like him contemplating, I guess that.
Yeah.
Where you're deeply unsettled, or is it veer more towards the cartoonish? Which I'm fine with.
No, all of it. It's a spectrum. It's all of it. It's gritty. It's realistic. It is cartoonish. It's a mixed media movie, so there are literal cartoon segments like Kill Bill, but and this is what I thought when I watched it. You know how when you watch a Quentin Tarantino movie, he's obsessed with that like 70s era, right? Some of his stuff is set in that era, like some of his period pieces, let's say. But they look like a modern retelling, even like his World War II, like Inglourious Bastards. It feels like a modern play of that time period, right? Like in all fantasy, of course, it's fantasy, so that's set aside. But when you're watching it, you know it's not this. You feel like it somebody walked into a video store in 1984 and picked this up as a new release. Like, it looks like it was made in that time period. Like,
that makes me want to watch it right now.
The type of animation that they use is like, have you ever seen Heavy Metal, like the movie the animated movie Heavy
I've never actually seen that. I know of it.
Okay, but you know that animation style, that like 80s. So the animation segments, they're in that style. Like they look like they were animated in 1984. This is the last thing I'll end on. So the soundtrack is very similar to Beyond the Black Rainbows, like a lot of like very synth heavy tones, like just it's very tonal, where there's just like long notes being held like throughout a scene, you know, on a synthesizer. But it was the first time that he had worked with this composer who is, I just had
Johann Johansson.
Yes.
I'm probably saying that wrong.
There's a tragic portion in that man passed away after, I don't know if
the composer.
I don't know if he committed suicide but they bring that up in the interview, and Panos is like, I thought that I had found a kindred spirit in him. Like when we made this movie, I of course loved everything that he was doing. And again, I'm paraphrasing. I loved everything he was doing, but I was more excited for what we were going to work on next. Like watching our relationship grow. And I'm devastated that I'll never get to work with him again. Like it's heartbreaking. Like Panos is if you watch that Q&A, he is kind of a heartbreaking man. Like you can tell that it's really hard for him to be on that stage. It's really hard for him to be talking about his work to Kevin Smith in front of a crowd of people. Like he says, he's like, I can only watch Beyond the Black Rainbow if I'm by myself in my basement. That's the only way I've been able to watch it, because he's so self-conscious of it. And I recommend that Q&A. I recommend going and fucking seeing Mandy any way you can. Turn out the lights and just go along for the ride, and just remember, like, just fucking goddamn, is it just so good?
Yeah, it looks like it's available on Amazon Prime, on YouTube, and Google Play, all for like about $7 or less. So I'll be digging into that this weekend. I'm excited.
Totally worth the $7. Like, you please, like, call or text me and let me know.
Oh yeah, I will.
What you think? I hope I'm not overselling it. I don't think I can though. I don't think I can.
No, it all feels right in line with like seeing the preview of my level of so I'd be in from the preview, but everything that you've told me and then seeing that Q&A and stuff, it all just sort of enhances like what I would hope. So that's kind of great.
Yeah. Man, good. Mandy, go see it. Jesus, what a great fucking movie. I hope I didn't spoil anything.
I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, all I have to, I'm going to be looking forward to that amazing shot. And then the thing.
And just like, he like chugs a third of the bottle of vodka and then he pours another third like on open wounds. So he's like the pain from it being in his, that like just chugging, and then the pain from it in his open wounds, and then the pain from what he's dealing with, and like, and you can see him reacting to all of that pain at the same time, and just like I said, it just goes. Panos holds you on that for so long that it's absurd and comical, and then it's uncomfortable, and then it's just heartbreaking. And a lot of directors, especially directors that have only directed one other movie, would not have the wherewithal to know how long they have to hold on that. Or even like less directors would probably be like, well, we're just going to go like this. The first 30 seconds is going to get that like Nicolas Cage absurdity. That's what people are going for. And then like maybe a little more refined or talented director would be like, okay, well, let's hold it for another minute. So then we make people feel uncomfortable. They get that. And then they're going to feel, because then they're feeling something other than like comedy. They know we're going for something more than comedy. But then like Panos is like, okay, I want him to feel bad. Like we need to feel bad for this guy. And so that's where he gets the other minute from, you know, and he like just holds your nose in it long enough so that you know how you man. Yeah. He just, Jesus, good shit. I'm so excited to see what this guy makes for his third movie. Like, like, yeah, so good.
Nicolas Cage reminds me, like when I think of and hear stories like that, you know, last time we were talking about Adam Driver and how he's got this uncanny naturalism about him to where sometimes you're like, I wonder how much of that was it just always feels so spontaneous.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage to me feels when he's big like that or where he's given these like opportunities to really shine or where they let him be big or whatever. He makes these big, it's almost like, I feel like I've never been in an acting class, but it feels like acting class type work that I've heard of that by some accounts, and some people would say like, it's like quote unquote sort of bad or cheesy or over the top, but there's something about, I don't know if it's just the way that he goes for it so completely or that people give him license to do that. And see it through to the point to where you get past the big to the genuine portion. I don't know. It's weird. Like I can't think of other people that occupy that space in movies. Like you use we can use his name like as a verb and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But it somehow works. It's not just ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty remarkable. So it's like I can kind of envision it in my head in a way already, but I know it sounds like it's going to exceed because he can do that.
Yeah.
I lost my hand. I lost my wife. Like he's always so.
Yeah.
It's so much, but it's also so great. And then to have it be ultimately like genuine somewhere underneath all that.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a remarkable guy. Did you know they do a film festival with him called like Cage Fest?
No,
I heard about this last year. I was looking it up a little bit. I'm reading this from the Nerdist. This is it's January 2017. It says every year in honor of Nicolas Cage's birthday, which is whatever. The Austin Alamo Drafthouse has held a 5-ish movie marathon dubbed Caged, never revealing the films in advance. So they show his movies and stuff. And last year he showed up.
Fuck.
And he loves Edgar Allan Poe, and he read The Telltale Heart aloud. It takes like 12 minutes. It's online. I'm going to send you this Nerdist thing. It's probably too long for us to watch together and stuff, but you should see it. And I heard it on something at the end, because I don't know if you're familiar with that story, but like that's the story where there's like there's a buried body essentially in the
he hears
guilt.
the heartbeat.
Yeah. So by the end, like the narrator's built up to this fever pitch, and then you got Nicolas Cage reading it, and he's wearing not something too dissimilar from what he was in that
He
Q&A.
likes his jackets.
Yeah, and sunglasses, and by the end, he's just like screaming about the heart. It's incredible.
I can't wait to watch that. Like,
yeah,
it's one of those things where I'm like, why did I stop watching Nicolas? Like, when did Nicolas Cage become like a joke?
We all know.
Like,
I don't know when, but definitely did.
The bees from the Wicker Man. That's the thing I like. That really got memed. Have you seen that?
I've heard of The Wicker Man. Like, I guess it's a 70s movie that has a lot of music in it, and that's very well revered, and his is less so. His remake is.
Yeah. So let me see if I can find that, because that one should be quick. I'm
noticing when I just Googled Mandy, there's one thing from like an hour ago from MovieWeb that says Nicolas Cage thinks Cage rage memes are hurting his new movie Mandy.
Yeah, so in my exposure to the internet and their ability to memify pretty much anything, like, and you never know what's going to become memified and what's going to blow up, but I can trace back to this scene from The Wicker Man that really kicked it off. And then I remember somebody as a prank. This was a while ago too. Somebody in their family had hated Nicolas Cage. So while they were away on vacation, the person house sitting had printed out all these different stickers, different size stickers of Nicolas Cage's face, and replaced the face, like just stuck these stickers on photos for people's faces everywhere. So like you open cupboards, there was Nick Cage's face, and it just blew up into I think that just, those are the two things that I remember first of that. I guess if that's what the term we're going to call it is cage rage, but it's not just rage, because it's always like, it's that photo of him where he's like, he's got that, that look you know what I'm talking about? Like,
I'm not sure I do, but it's big. Like he goes big.
Yeah. And, well, here, let's let me share.
Jesus Christ. It was like what, 22 years ago that Leaving Las Vegas came out, and did he win the Oscar for that?
I think he won. I don't want to speak too soon because I'm I'm pretty sure he did though. I know Elizabeth Shue did. I know he was at least nominated for that movie, and that was like, I feel like that was like the peak of his like critical credibility.
Yeah, he was not like funny in that, not in a way that people would make fun of.
Yeah, I think they try sometimes, but
I remember just before that too. Honeymoon in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I think this is just after, so like you can tell in Wild at Heart he's doing a big like Elvis kick. And in Honeymoon in Vegas there's a lot of like Elvis stuff, and Sarah Jessica Parker in the most amazing white dress. Like fucking look that movie up for just that dress. But there's this moment in that I was so deeply amused by at the time that I used to rewind. You know, in VCRs you could hit rewind on some models and it would just go back a few seconds.
Yeah.
So I would do that, and he was talking to Nicolas Cage. He wore this like blue suit. I wonder if I used to have that on VHS for the longest time. Oh, I probably got rid of it. See? Fuck. Anyway, but he's like saying this thing. He was going like, he's saying what could happen if she does this, that, or the other. And he's talking normally, saying this could happen, and then you're going to end up with these people. And believe me, they will drug you! I used to rewind it endlessly. It was like so incongruous with the rest of the movie that he just suddenly flips out. So I hope that's memed.
My Nick Cage growing up was Raising Arizona Nick Cage.
Oh yeah. I came to that later, but that's prime.
and in my opinion, Holly Hunter is more modern Nick Cage than Nick Cage is in that movie. But she's like talking in the car with him, and then she's like, that in like that moment, she's like talking, and then she goes, I love him so much. Yes, yeah. And my family loved Raising Arizona, which is funny because like, Coen movies are lost on them now, but like we all loved Raising Arizona. But that was my Nick Cage, and then of course like the Rock and Con Air. I fucking hate Con Air.
The thing that amuses me about Con Air so much is that it came out like 2 or 3 years after Hard Target with Van Damme, which was John Woo's first movie.
Yeah.
And literally, I think I sent it to the cast thread one time, so I'll find it and retweet it. But it's the same, like, they dressed Nicolas Cage's wardrobe and hair are the exact same as Jean-Claude Van Damme's in Hard Target, which is a weird like long-haired mullet thing with a strapped shirt and jeans and hiking boots. And then there's at one point there's the same shot of him running away from an exploding helicopter.
Yep. Oh man. Yeah. Well, this is in my opinion, this is the scene I think that contributed to this Cage Rage internet sensation that Nick Cage has become. I sure as hell hope it's not hurting Mandy. I can't imagine anything hurting this movie if they would just give it a wide release and just I think it could easily become like a a sleeper hit in some way where it would just like it would slowly creep up over time. I would go see it. I've checked for theaters in my area playing it so I could go see it again. That's how. And now that I know I could get it on one of those streaming services, I might rent it just to be able to watch it again. It's that good. But let me play this. This is the B scene from The Wicker Man,
Nice.
which is when you see it, you'll understand like how I think this is what caused the rage cage.
Yeah. Rage cage.
Bitches! You bitches! This is murder! Murder! You'll all be guilty! And you're doing it for nothing! Killing me won't bring back your goddamn honey!
But I know it will.
How can it? I'm not one of you! I don't believe in your God! I don't believe in sacrifice!
I didn't know about the knee breaking. I'm just going for the bees.
Brutal.
Yeah.
There's bees coming.
Here they come.
No, stop moving! Ah!
Oh, those men are nihilists, Donnie.
What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! Out of my eyes! My eyes! Ah! Ah!
Okay, that's enough.
Oh, that's such like. See, that's what happens if you go big like that. You're at the mercy of the director fucking you.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have to include him. Like, I'm sure there's ways in which that could be helpful, you know, like saying, so you know what's happening, my eyes and stuff.
Yeah, and
did
they're
him
like
wrong.
CGI bees. That's the
Yeah.
other. Like they're like it's bad computer graphics and
He narrated that whole thing though.
yeah,
And they let him. That was probably the problem.
yeah. Oh,
Moto was saying Nick Cage, one of the greatest actors of our time, which was something that was a joke, Yojimbo joke. Well, I don't think he meant it to be a joke at the time. Maybe. Ooh, hit my teeth on the mic. Maybe he did. I remember it was about Ghost Rider though.
and Lost Highway. I haven't seen Lost Highway.
Oh yeah, that's a cool one. David Lynch movie. That's a movie I think I saw at midnight in my late teens, like when I first could go to midnight movies. It's a perfect midnight movie. I think I saw it. So there's Montrose and the other side General Cinemas. I saw it at the General Cinema.
One of those
By
is shut
myself.
down now. There's only one now.
That's sad. That was such a fun dynamic, like growing up and being able, like, you know, getting your license and being able to go up there and take
And
your
between the
pick.
two of them, everything would play because
Yeah,
they wouldn't have
everything in
thing,
wide release,
and so like you could see anything that was out.
Yeah. I liked the experience. Well, they were different, but I had a definite fondness for General Cinemas. But yeah, Lost Highway is a cool, like, creepy Lynch film.
Speaking of Lynch, I read this thing on Reddit that said he created these webisodes that like they're animated and they're about moths or something. But psychologists use them to create existential panic in subjects. Like they will show these to people to get an existential response out of them. Like,
Wow.
I mean, man, that guy knows something about the brain and knows how to trigger And I feel like he's one of those people that's just trying to process how he deals with the world through his filmmaking. But yeah, the guy's fucked up. Oh, we got some Mandy talk.
Okay. So we talk, Palmer gave his great endorsement of Mandy in Long Walk Short Drink 54, the last episode. So I highly recommend you listen to that. And I will now, I don't have a lot to add to it. So I want to know like your questions.
I just want to hear you gush just a little bit about
gush.
it.
I was excited, but a little scared.
Yeah.
And
for those of you that haven't listened to that episode, I said this was a movie that I could not recommend to anybody. I knew 2 people that I could recommend it to, and Pumps was one of them. And then
did you ever hear from him about that?
I never did, but then I threw it out the window because it's just so good.
Yeah, I remember when you sent the trailer. I don't know that it felt to me like at the time that you hadn't necessarily. You were just more intrigued by the story than you were the connection to Beyond the Black Rainbow. I don't know if that's true. But when I was more
intrigued by this is the movie that's going to bring Nicolas Cage back on top. It's going to put Nicolas Cage back on top of acting. Like, this is the role that brings him back as a reputable actor. Because the trailer came out like early in the summer.
Right. Yeah. And
it was like right after Sundance, and all the buzz was like, was it after? It was after whatever film festival it premiered in. That's when the trailer started getting traction, and all the buzz was, this is the movie that's going to save Nicolas Cage's career. That's what intrigued me.
And the trailer itself, which we watched together in Long Walk Short Drink 54, is stunning. And I remember seeing it, and I was like, "Fuck, that looks amazing!" And I think I looked it up, and then I realized from looking it up, or maybe it says from visionary director Panos Cosmatos. But anyway, I was very interested to the follow up and just the Long Walk, in what is in my mind the Long Walk Short Drink connection, because that's how I learned of Beyond the Black Rainbow and stuff. But so I was interested in it, and then of course once you saw it and were extra excited, I was all the more interested, and your impassioned review made me very excited to see it, but something about it and the intensity of it made me a little scared. I was just going to read the one sentence IMDb thing. Mandy is set in the primal wilderness of 1983, where Red Miller, a broken and haunted man, hunts an unhinged religious sect who slaughtered the love of his life.
And that's a great one sentence.
I love those.
That movie, like that is.
I love those one sentence things because they have to jam pack so much into so many words. That's why I love to read them. But that is the story. Yeah, and it's not a complicated story, but it's a very visually complicated movie.
Yeah.
Oh man! And we watched the trailer together, and so I watched it. I knew I was in for him having to witness her horrific death, and so I was trying to brace myself for that at 12:30 a.m. on a Saturday, and it's like an hour into the movie that all of that kind of transpires. So I was always just a little bit scared of it, to be honest, and at the same time kind of riveted by it's hypnotic. I remember, and okay, all over the place. We also watched a little bit of the Q&A that was shown at the film screening that you saw. Thankfully, somebody in the audience of that same conversation put it on YouTube, and it's Kevin Smith, our friend of the show,
is moderating a Q&A with the director Nicolas Cage and co-star, who I feel he held it like he was right up there with Nick Cage.
Yeah,
I think
he was. Yeah, and then once I saw the movie, it was much. I could easily understand why the director initially thought of Nicolas Cage for that character.
Yeah.
It was easy to understand that. But I'm glad it worked out the way it did. So I watched that Q&A afterwards, and in that Q&A, the director mentioned that the movies he was inspired by as a kid or obsessed by that made him want to be a filmmaker were oh shit, maybe you'll remember. One of them was After Hours.
Yeah.
Was it the Road Warrior in After Hours?
I think it was like one of the Mad Max movies for sure.
Yeah, there might have been one other movie. I feel like he might have paired something else with After Hours. Oh, it was Evil Dead 2 and After Hours were the ones that made him want to be a filmmaker. And then he was also at some point obsessed with the Road Warrior.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I don't know if it was related or not, but we talked a long time about Mad Max in the last episode. So all of that was fresh in my mind, and funnily enough, I had never seen Evil Dead movies until when I moved back to Ohio, like when I was like getting divorced in, I don't know, 2004-ish, and reconnecting with whoever was left around in that area. That sounds weird. Yeah. I was able to see people I hadn't seen as much more regularly. Yourself chief among them. And I don't know why it came out the weird way before, but you recommended those movies or something which you had done before, but since I was physically present, you were able to like hand them to me. And I'd never seen Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 1 or Evil Dead 2. And I watched them all together, and you know, they're delightful. I haven't seen them since, but I do remember them very fondly from that time. And when he said those two movies, it like sparked his imagination to be a filmmaker, Evil Dead 2 and After Hours, Scorsese's After Hours, because a lot of it had to do with how the camera could be moved. I was like, and then he said he was obsessed with the Road Warrior. I was like, wow, like if you combine Evil Dead 2, After Hours, not the events of them, and the Road Warrior with, say, Beyond the Black Rainbow, you get Mandy.
Yeah. Yes.
Like it's right there in the best possible way of like a synthesis of those things. And so if you haven't seen it and you're familiar with any of those, like that's a good thing to have in the back of your mind as maybe like a selling point.
As a mashup.
But, yeah, a mashup. That's a great way to put it. When it was over, I remember thinking like, wow, this felt like a really psychedelic version of the last half hour of the original Mad Max.
Oh, okay.
Like where Max becomes Max.
Yeah.
And then there's the biker gang. You're going to think this is nuts, but there's some cyborg in there.
No, that
I'm not saying he saw it. I'm not saying like Panos Cosmatos saw a cyborg. In fact, I was a little disappointed in him as a person with the way when like Kevin Smith, he's like, I made some effects movie, and he goes, Tusk.
Yeah.
Like kind of shittily. I was like, hey bro.
Yeah. In all fairness though, Kevin Smith laughed at that joke.
No, he does. But like Tusk is not a bad movie. It's just a weird movie.
It is weird. Totally.
But it's got a bad reputation because it didn't perform well.
I like Tusk a lot.
I only saw that once, to be fair. Well, like Moto weighed in here on the cyborg, the satanic pirates. Yeah. So like that, I mean, we laid out the plot of it, but like Nicolas Cage and his girlfriend, or his wife rather, live in this remote area, and he's a lumberjack. It's like 1983, and his wife,
they spend so long just getting you attached to those characters. I think that is a great, just in his patience as a director. That first act is forever. Like you're just like, okay, let's get to it. Like, you know, because they're just, it is arguably kind of boring because they're just kind of laying around being a couple, you know, like.
Yeah. Because I knew what was coming, it was filled with such tension. And she's such like that actress. I have the IMDb page. The actress that plays Mandy.
Cyborg, yes.
Yeah. Oh fuck yes! Oh my god, I'm a little scared thinking about it. Mandy Bloom, that's her name. Or no, sorry, Mandy Bloom is the character's name. Andrea Riseborough, maybe.
Sure.
Is the actress who plays her, but she has a very like haunting, kind of creepy vibe.
Yep.
Like beautiful in a way, but a little scary.
Like Wednesday Addams.
Yeah, and honestly, not altogether like a long-haired version of the actress in Cyborg.
Oh my gosh, so many Cyborg parallels.
I don't know. Yeah, but it's something about So I wasn't thinking Cyborg at first, but like, you know, as you said, it feels like 1983, like the film stock or the whether they shot it on film or not, they do a nice job of making it emulate the film stock of that time.
It looks like you could have time warp back and rented this off a shelf in 1980.
Yeah, and they do those cool title screens, almost like they don't call them chapters or anything like that, but they have the vibe of that time, like hardcore, like you'd see on a T-shirt. Yep. It comes like crashing in, and the font is like totally 1983. It's like it gives a location, like it's a band name, and then says 1983 AD as like a full screen graphic.
Yeah.
And then it goes and kind of establishes that. But so, yeah, the plot or whatever is super simple. Like they set up this couple in this remote area, and then the Nicolas Cage's wife, Mandy, is walking to her job at a general store, and a van passes her full of a few people that are in a cult. Yeah, like with Linus Roach. What is his character's name? Jeremiah Sand, great name. Such a great but basically he sees her, and then you see his cult a little bit, and he's just like, I need her. He's like, I physically need her. Like, you have to get her for me. And then his sort of minions in the cult that worship him, essentially, they don't go to get her for him themselves. They kind of lure in this. What we learn,
they conjure up.
Yeah, they have this like mystical stone.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Which after you know what's happening, they're just tripped out on acid the whole time. Like they're
I know, but no, I mean, the whole movie feels tripped out on acid in a way. Yeah. And eventually like Nicolas Cage's character takes a small hit of what I think they fucking drank those whole like jars of acid or something,
maybe,
to be as fucked up as they are.
The exposition is delivered so well, where minimally there's just enough exposition that if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss it. But you find out that these bikers that they conjure up using this mystic whistle that look like Hellraisers, honestly.
That's right. They look like a cross between Fender's gang and Cyborg and the Cenobites. Yeah. And that's like not. It sounds like it might be cool, and maybe it is, but it's also terrifying.
And there's a beautiful shot because they're sleeping in bed and like the lightning flashes.
That's not beautiful. That's the scariest moment in the movie.
It's so beautiful. It's so well done. His use of color and lighting and just like. Because
it's very powerful.
Because earlier in the movie, when they do that overhead shot in their bed, he has her like it looks like the galaxy is painted over her. She's talking about space, and there's like all these colors like over her, but then that shot where like the lightning flashes, and it's those bikers plus his cult are there in that room, and you know bad shit's gonna go down. And like like
I was so scared of it, and it was Moto, who probably hasn't seen Mandy. It is like that moment in Cyborg in the flashback where that whole movie Cyborg, as it's rewritten, a Jean-Claude Van Damme 1989 classic. I can't believe episode 55 how much of a presence one of Van Damme's arguably worst movies is in our like fuck. But that movie is so creepy, Cyborg, and the gang of flesh pirates. So it's weird because the flesh pirate thing with the Cyborg, what we've learned, what you learned in episode 13, if you listen to it, of our show when we talk for hours about Cyborg, I do, is that the initial concept was like this rock opera, heavy metal rock opera in black and white, where those guys was much more stylized, and that gang, they were Satan worshipers, and there was this like bizarrely dark religious component to it, and they were killing people in this post-apocalyptic world. But they were just terrifying, and Fender was this terrifying presence. They all had anyway, not to get into Cyborg, but they were like kind of like a biker gang. They didn't ride bikes, but like in Mad Max, they were a biker gang.
Yep.
The Toe Cutter and his gang, and so it was like, yeah, it's like you put the Cenobites from Hellraiser on bikes, and that moment where it pans up from their bedroom that had surrounded by all those windows to the kind of, I don't know, not the horizon because it was nighttime, and then there's this pink backlit, group of, I guess, I don't know, I was going to say like demonic bikers, but that's basically, what they are. But they're almost like monsters at this point. But it was like that moment in Cyborg where, you have this flashback to this love scene in this kind of hellish world. And then the post-coital, like they're laying there, in each other's arms, and it pans up and literally feet away from them, like 3 to 5 feet away. It's weird because on my porch it's like the relationship could be the same. It's awful. As Fender, like in his group, they're all just sitting there, and you can see Fender's like blue eyes piercing through his sunglasses, and like some fucked up shit is gonna happen, and it does, and it's a little similar to like how Mandy dies. I mean, I don't want to, I'll jump ahead because of the cyborg of it. Like essentially, like there is somebody holding the end of a rope trying to, and as other people are kind of plunged to their death, and in Cyborg as the gang looks on. And in Mandy, one of the gang holds in Cyborg, it's a little girl forced to hold a barbed wire rope as her family is dropped into a well.
This is Cyborg. This is Cyborg. Not Mandy.
The Cyborg. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say Mandy? In Mandy, one of the religious cult holds a rope, not a barbed wire, as the character of Mandy is burnt in like she's put in a bag.
And he's gagged with barbed wire though.
He's gagged with barbed wire. Yeah. And so it's a weird thing with the combination of the religious cult and the kind of evil gang.
What about that shot? Did it work on you? That shot where it faded in between Silas Roach and Mandy?
Yeah. So we were talking about, so I skipped over basically. So once they kidnap Mandy, I don't know, the Linus Roach character, Sands, basically I think just wants to have sex with her. Like that's kind of his, I don't know if he wants to keep her forever in his crazy cult or what, but so he presents in this ceremonious way, opens his balls out, full frontal nudity. And it's just like, I've known the comfort of many women. And they had given her like something like put it in her eye and then given her a shot in her neck. Like she was drugged out.
So she was like,
oh, that's right. It wasn't a shot.
Yeah. The icing on the cake, as that lady called it, right? Acid is very prevalent in this movie. And that's where, so you think the bikers are this like supernatural force because they are conjured with this glowing whistle. And that's just because the people,
they look like monsters, like their face, like like none of them have human,
and they look like monsters. You find out that they were runners of the acid, like they ran the acid and they screwed over the guy who makes the acid. He found out they were using all the acid instead of selling it, and so he cooked up this terrible batch of acid that, again, like. Nick Cage like dips his pinky in the jar of it, and it looks like dirty Vaseline. And he
or blue even. Looks like a cross between like Vaseline and the blue milk from Star Wars to me.
And he dips his pinky in it and just touches it to his tongue, and he has an instant bad trip where his face literally melts off, a face melting trip. And these guys, like Dave said, had been like drinking it by the jars because they liked it. They liked the pain. They are literally like Cenobites, like living Cenobites. Like,
I was surprised that wasn't one of his things he liked.
Yeah. And so the dick knife.
Fuck. Yeah. That was so disturbing. Like, I wonder what a dick knife was going to be. But just to like close the gap of like people who won't, I mean, you should see Mandy if you feel up for this. It's not a one-timer though. At times I almost felt like it was, because it felt like I was scared of it in the way that I am now scared of Last House on the Left and I Spit on Your Grave. Like I thought it was going to be that kind of fucked up.
Oh yeah,
revenge
no,
movie.
I can see that. But I'm super excited to see it again.
Yeah, so it wasn't like I thought it was going to be disturbingly sexually like I thought it was going to be like a horrible rape death. And ultimately he does like want to have sex with her, but she's like high and still like has her own, enough of her faculties to basically laugh at him, not just because he has his dick out, but because like he plays a song that is supposed to be like the Carpenters, but it's both by him and about him, and it's all this thing about how he
can't get his dick up.
Yeah.
And so that makes her laugh harder, and then like his cult starts laughing at him, like kind of chuckling to themselves, and she hurts his pride.
And this guy's got an enormous ego, like a galactic
the
ego.
whole cult aspect is that record that he plays, nobody wanted to distribute it.
Oh, sure. It's like a Manson thing, basically.
And so he was about to commit suicide, according to him, and God came to him and said, no, anything you want is yours. You just need to take it. And so that's why he lives. That is the basis of his cult, is that he has this connection to God who said everything is his. And then it becomes a little like Unforgiven at the lady that laughs at the dude's dick, and then bad things happen. But so they don't like rape her or anything, at least not that we know, but they do set her on fire in front of her husband. and then the revenge, like the psychedelic revenge fantasy ensues, which once I got through that, I was like, I was better, but I was always a little on edge and I had trouble getting to sleep. But at the same time, I liked it. And there were like kind of comedic elements in the way that, at times Nicolas Cage, when he was like covered in all the blood and stuff, reminded me of, I don't know what they call the character in Raising Arizona, but like that kind of Road Warrior looking character. Oh yeah. Because he slowly goes and like picks off, not slowly. It all happens kind of quick, but he goes to an old friend first to get his crossbow. And
that guy was familiar to me. I don't know where.
That's the guy from Predator who shaved in the like.
I don't think I've actually seen Predator.
Are you kidding me?
Isn't that crazy?
Oh.
I know. Yeah. Is it
I'll be honest, I haven't seen Top Gun all the way through. So
really? Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I hear it doesn't hold up well, but I'm very fond of it. What is that guy's name? Bill Duke, maybe. Okay. Yeah. Carruthers. Yeah. That was a great scene.
He's the one that delivers the most exposition through the whole thing. And it's this line of like Mad Max-esque quirky characters.
I know him from Bird on a Wire. Anyway, so like he's in a lot of great stuff.
So he tracks down the bikers first and kills them off.
Yeah, he starts like with the most. That was sort of interesting to me. Like he started with the guy, like that character, Bill Duke's character said, like, I don't think you're gonna make it through this. Basically, like those are some fucked up
we skipped
individuals.
It, though. How about that fucking bathroom scene though?
Oh yeah, that was everything I wanted to be, except for it was like shorter. I wanted it to be longer because I just wanted to go on forever.
Maybe it was just being in the theater and him being like 15 feet tall that it felt a lot longer than it actually was. But like, man, they hang on that for so long that it goes through the whole arc of like being funny and then kind of uncomfortable, and then you just feel terrible for him.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
Oh, it's so good. And just the color, this guy's idea of colors and the way he uses colors is amazing. Like I've never seen so many, it going from like pinks and oranges to like greens and browns to like black and blues and then
purples. Yeah, there's like a lot of purple.
And like, man, just so much. I would love to see what he would do with Technicolor, like, but he, love it. So then he goes and he hunts down the bikers and picks them all off one by one. I do love the scene with the cook, like the guy that makes the acid, because he's slowly like. I think that's part of it too, is like he slowly becomes the people, like with that any revenge movie, it does that, where like the person that's like seeking revenge, you end up becoming as bad as the people you know, and he does this physically where he's like taking their weapons and taking their armor and all. And, but I love when he goes to the cook who makes the acid, and like, he doesn't say one word. Like, he doesn't say one word.
Yeah. They like telepathically somehow communicate.
The cook like knows why he's there. And like, he looks at the tiger and he's like, you're right. And he like lets the tiger out of the cage and the tiger runs away. Like, oh, I love that scene. It's so good.
Ultimately, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm still a little scared of it.
Yeah.
but I mean, if you've heard us talk about it and you're curious, definitely check it out. It's on all these streaming services.
Check it out. It's so good. And you can rent it on any of the streaming services. It comes out on Blu-ray at the end of the month. I think October 30th.
Oh, yes. So, perfect. It's a very spooky movie.
It's like, I think when I checked on Amazon, you can pre-order it. It's $14.99 to pre-order it on Blu-ray.
So
cool. I'm probably going to end up doing that just because I can't wait to see it again.